All right, what is going on, everybody? I am Mac, and I am back. April 12th. In other words, it's 4-1-2 day. And if you're a Pittsburgh sports fan, I don't think I need to explain what that means. So I thought that I'd come on here and give my second mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers for this coming spring. I made a mock draft a couple of weeks ago, and I plan to make one more before the draft starts in 2 weeks. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. This is my second mock draft for the Steelers, and I think this is kind of like my plan B one because my first one was like my pipe dream one. It was the one that, if everything goes right and Omar Khan nails everything in the draft, I think that's what we're walking away with. But this is kind of like my plan B. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. This is my second mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 2024. Let's get on to it. So, with the 20th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Graham Barton, center out of Duke. So Graham Barton, he's kind of like the second best option behind Jackson Powers Johnson, but by no means is Graham Barton not a good pick. Barton tested like a freak at Duke's Pro Day, and he's believed to have secured a top spot in the center position for this year's draft. And I think that the only reason that he might fall to number 20 is because teams don't really look at centers in the first round, and probably because someone will take JPJ a little bit early. But the Steelers, I mean, it's no secret. Center is our biggest gaping wound in this offseason and going into 2024 as a whole. So, like I said, even if JPJ gets taken before our first pick, this is not, too bad of this is not a bad pick at all. Barton is just too much to pass up on, and I don't think that the Steelers would have much of an issue with finding center if this guy's still available. So, like, when it comes to first-round targets, there's only a couple of realistic options at 20 that stand above him, like I said. And I think that with this guy, you're also getting an NFL-ready guy. You're getting a guy who can block well. And I think, like I said, like Cooper DeJean and, of course, JPJ, if they're coming off the board, I think they're going to have to look for the next best guy. And like I said, it's going to be Graham Barton. So, like I said, this is just my second mock draft. But I think Graham Barton is definitely a great alternative if JPJ is to go before we can snag him. Then, with the 51st overall pick in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Max Melton, cornerback out of Rutgers. So the Steelers, I mean, it's not like we're going to avoid an offensive tackle and a wide receiver at the positions, as you'll see more into this video, but only because if Max Melton is still available at 51, that's why I have us taking him here. Melton has a lot of inside and outside capabilities, and he really showcased his athletic skills at the combine, and he ran a real impressive 4.39 40-yard dash. So this guy's got a lot of really good speed with him, and he's really good with the corner spot. And I think that he's exactly what the Steelers could be looking for right here. It kind of like reminds you a little bit more of if Cam Sutton had a little bit of more of athletic ability, and he's just really agile on the field. He's great at covering. And I really think that if you can put him in that nickelback position, he has a lot of potential to move on the outside, and it's going to be a great compliment to JPJ, and he's going to be a really good mate with him long term. So if you're looking for that guy to play opposite of him, I think Max Melton is a really good standout guy if you want a corner in the second round. The Steelers also brought Max Melton in for a visit, and it really did add to their interest in him. So if this guy's still available at 51, I think it's going to be a hard pass for a corner who fits exactly what the Steelers are looking for and a later one in the pick. So again, yeah, maybe offensive tackle, maybe wide receiver at round 2. But I'm telling you, if Max Melton's still available at 51, you got to take him because he's perfect for this defense, in my opinion. Then with the 84th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Javon Baker, wide receiver out of UFC. So here we go with getting a wide receiver. And this is where the Steelers usually do real well with the draft, as the middle rounds are where we excel with drafting wide receivers. I really like Javon Baker, even though he's not the most athletic wide receiver. But I think that he's really good with good route running capabilities. He's got great athletic, like I said, not the best athlete, but I think he's definitely a guy that you could probably put in the slot and a guy that can definitely evolve and rank up there as a solid number 3 option and a guy who's going to compete later on down the line. But yeah, Javon Baker, couldn't hurt, to take a chance on him. I mean, I mentioned before about Corley out of Western Kentucky in my first mock draft. He'd probably be a good preference for the Steelers here, but I think Javon Baker, if Corley was taken before him, I think that he would be a pretty good option for the Pittsburgh Steelers right here for short yardage plays, for slot plays, and I think that Arthur Smith can work for him. Then, with the 98th overall pick in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles for the 3rd round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Mason Smith, defensive tackle out of LSU. Again, going back to that video I put out a month or so ago, that the Steelers need youth on this defensive line, and I think Mason Smith is a really good option for that. The Steelers have had Mason Smith under the radar for them throughout the NFL draft process, and I think that this big kid out of LSU, he does resemble a lot of Stephon Tuitt. A guy that I'm really missing on this defensive line all the way back to Super Bowl 57 is Stephon Tuitt. I think, I'm thinking of Javon Hargrave, excuse me, but you get the point. Stephon Tuitt is a guy that I'm really missing on this defensive line, and I think Mason Smith can really come in with a lot of potential and either replace defensive tackles or he can come in and just be a leader altogether when the time comes. The fact is, the Steelers need a big body to work with, with guys like Montravius Adams, who we threw an extension at, Dean Lowry, if he's going to get time, and of course Isaiah Loudermilk as backups as well. And thanks to Lowry, the need isn't really too pressing, but that does allow the Steelers to wait for a really good high-profile potential candidate in the 3rd round. And I think that's what you're going to be getting with Mason Smith. He can learn under Cam Hayward. He can learn, he can evolve with some of the younger defensive tackles that we have, like, Keanu Benton. And I think overall this guy can really bolster up a really good playability for Patrick Queen as well, where you're getting a run stopper, and Patrick Queen is going to be able to complement well with him locking down the wide receivers across the middle. So I think Mason Smith would be a really good pick at 98 if he's still available. Then with the 119th overall pick in the 4th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Matt Goncalves, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, offensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. So the Steelers are going to their backyard to Pitt, and I think that they could get a sleeper at offensive tackle and not have to go very, again, like not have to go very far to do it. I think Matt Goncalves is a really good offensive tackle. He could find himself falling in the fourth round after playing just 3 games with a toe injury. But because of this, the Steelers can wait for an offensive tackle and still add a name with a lot of good upside. And I think that's what you're getting out of this kid. But before 2023, Goncalves was considered a second-round pick in the upcoming draft. And obviously, yeah, stuff like missing time due to injury, it does drop your draft stock significantly. But I think this guy is going to find himself being a day 2 or a day 3 pick. I think he does still have a lot of very good upside for him, and that's fine for us. I mean, we could probably let Dan Moore Jr. finish out his rookie contract and see if Spencer Anderson's capable of surprising them. But overall, I think you're getting a guy that a lot of people are underestimating here if he's still available at 119, and I think the Steelers should take a gamble with him. So he would be a good pick at 119. Then with the 178th overall pick in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft with a trade from the Carolina Panthers, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Josh Proctor, defensive back out of Ohio State. So it's at this point in the draft to see how things are going to fall exactly into place. But the Steelers are going to continue to look for needs, and definitely defensive back is one of them. And Josh Proctor, you're getting a guy that can fill in more than one of them. He's got very good versatile defensive back playability. He can play safety as well. He can play in the slot. And he has really good coverage ability and speed to move all around the field. And kind of like I mentioned with Max Melton, where you can drop him in the nickel back. I think you're getting a really good guy that can play in the slot as well, and that works really well with Mike Tomlin's defense. So, I mean, for this guy to go in the 6th round and being able to play more than one position is very key right here. Like I said, he just feels like a Mike Tomlin type of player, to where versatility is what he always strives for in players. And the Steelers overall, even going back to the days of Bill Cowher, they love those types of players. And especially having one from Ohio State likely boosts his stock in a lot of fans' eyes and a lot of the front office's eyes here. He doesn't really have a lot of expectations, but I think he does have a very good skill set to make a case for him to be a good special teamer as well. So overall, you're just looking at a really good, versatile player that can evolve into a regular starter in the secondary, and he can really pair up well with a guy like Miles Killebrew in the special teams. So, yeah, Josh Proctor, if he's still available in the 6th round, I would snag him up. And then finally, with the 195th overall pick in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Taj Washington, wide receiver out of USC. And this is another guy that the Steelers have shown a lot of interest in. They brought him up for a pre-draft visit. And I don't think the Steelers are going to be holding back from double-dipping at wide receiver because, like I said earlier, when I said Javon Baker in the 3rd round, the Steelers do have a knack for double-dipping at wide receiver, and I had us double-dipping at receiver with my first mock draft, so why not do it again? And if Taj Washington is still around, an extra scout could make this decision pretty easy for him. He's got great separation ability. He can make up for a little bit of a lack of size and speed, but I think with him being able to make good contested catches, that's really good enough for this kind of offense that the Steelers are going to run here. But you're looking at a guy who's great in the middle of the field. He's got good quality run to him, and he can block well as well. And that's something that the Steelers value really well in their wide receivers. And at worst, I think, why would you not just add another option at the bottom of their depth chart right here? So yeah, definitely a guy that can pair up well with George Pickens, because Pickens is another blocking receiver. And I think Taj Washington, you can put him on the line a little bit and you can make him block some more. I think you got a really good dynamic 1-2 punch right there when it comes to what the Steelers are looking for potentially when it comes to wide receiver. And that'll do it. So this is my second mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I missed anyone, or if you have another mock draft in mind, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like I said, I plan to have one more mock draft out by the time the draft rolls around, but this is my second mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.